if you want to shout out. Let's do some mukbang.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back. I know I've been gone for a couple days, and I was actually detoxing. So I wasn't eating junk food or none of this stuff. But anyways, I'm back, and it's time to stuff my face. I haven't ate anything in a couple of days, so I'm really hungry, and I doubt I can finish this all in one setting. But I know I always wear a hat, and I know some of you guys might be curious, what do I look like without the hat? So I guess here's a reveal. So hey, what's going on, everyone? This is the reason why I wear my hat. Just my hair gets kind of messy, but you know. Anyways, I'm just gonna show my natural self like this. This is how I wake up. But anyways, let's dig into it. So here you go. So I know you guys probably want a nugget. I'm famished right now, so here's a nugget. Well, it's not focusing, but anyways, some ranch. You know, the McDonald's ran out of buffalo sauce, so I was really disappointed. So I ended up getting honey mustard and ranch, but I did find me buffalo sauce in the fridge from Chick-fil-A. So let me go get that. Here's a little buffalo sauce from Chick-fil-A. I need to hoard some of these sauces, keep it in the fridge or something. Let me see here. But I got a 40-piece nugget, a quarter pounder with no onions. And actually I cut back no cheese. I know, shame on me. Got a couple hash browns, large fries. So I'm just gonna dig in here. Guys, forgive me if I end up eating like Steven's Sushi. Look at that, I already dropped some fries. But that detox I went through the past couple of days was pretty brutal. So I'm kind of like lightheaded because I haven't had eaten anything the past couple of days. So forgive me if I end up stuffing my face like I'm Steven's Sushi. Mmm. I wonder if that would make a good thumbnail. Mmm. hash browns. I really like McDonald's hash browns. They're good. Huh. Well, while I was off, trying to find some time to look up some stories. I found this interesting story back in 2005, and their name is James Michael and Michelle Goots. So, in the storyline, it doesn't give too much background of the guy, but gives a context with the girl. So she was one of those all-American girls, you know, good grades in high school, cheerleading squad, end up going to college, end up being on the cheerleading squad in college too. I think it's West Virginia, but you know, so it seemed like, you know, she had a sweet personality, cute looks and everything. Seemed like she had everything put together. You know, everything was like lined up for her. But so she ended up getting a degree in nursing, and over the years she ended up working at this one hospital over there, and she met this guy named James Michael, and they hit it off, and eventually they started hooking up or whatever. But here's the catch of the story. So after college, it's been a number of years already, and both people, they are married with 2 kids each. So that's the twist. And also, since she's a nurse, so him and her, they both met at the hospital. But another twist is that guy's wife actually worked at the hospital too. So that's another twist. So eventually they end up getting a divorce and end up marrying each other. So they're already Brady Bunching their life. You know, both of them have 2 kids each. So makes it for an interesting life. It felt so weird not being able to eat for a couple of days. I was like so lightheaded. So since this is a story, one of those murderer stories, you know, it doesn't end there. It's not like they got divorced from their significant others and then remarried each other and everything's happily ever after. So fast forward a number of years, one day she ends up going to work, and then a few hours later, she gets a call that her house was on fire, and most likely her husband was in it. Ooh, so here goes a little twist. So she pulls up to the house, and the house is on fire, and she's like wondering, where her husband is and what's going on. How come the husband's car is still there and the house is on fire or whatever. And then of course, after everything's said and done, they found out that the husband was in the bed just laying there, and he was dead. So of course, the detectives started asking questions and things like that, and they started noticing that she really wasn't as frantic as a person would be if somebody's significant other or family member ended up passing away or whatever. So the detectives started asking her questions, took her to the investigation room or whatever, interrogation room, started asking her questions. So and of course, with like most of these stories, like once you start getting interrogated, it's kind of hard to keep your story straight. If you're, guilty of something or whatever like that. I'm not saying she is or she isn't, but during the whole time, so she says she left work around 6 o'clock or whatever, and she ends up getting to work before 6:30, and she said, she told the police that the only time she ever left the workplace, and so the fire was around 10:30 or something like that, and she said the only time she really left her workplace was to go to her car to get her pager. Which will only take a few minutes. But here's the twist though. In the video surveillance camera, they find that she left for 20 minutes around 8 o'clock or something like that. Around 8:30, I forgot when the true time was, but there was a time gap of her leaving the building. They have her leaving the building in the car, and she disappeared for around 20 minutes. And so and come to find out that she only lives like 5-6 minutes away from her house. So 20 minutes is good enough time for you to drive back and forth to your house and light the house on fire. So that's really interesting. So they interrogated her for hours, and she kept on saying, I never left the building, I never left the building. Then, once they said, hey, we have video surveillance right here showing your car leaving, showing you leaving the building, etc. She was like, you know what? Maybe I did disappear maybe I did go run some errands for a little bit, for about 15-20 minutes or whatever. Twisty twist. And on top of that, later on, they actually interviewed a neighbor, and the neighbor said they saw her leave her house around 8 something. Oh, another twist. So she said she was just running errands, and then her neighbor actually found her around that same time that she left her workplace, leaving her, at her house. What a twist. So of course the detectives, all eyes are on her at this point, because she's just making stuff up, like saying she never left her place, and then eventually she broke down and said, oh, okay, maybe I did leave for a minute. Whoops. So eventually, over time, after some more interrogation and some more interviews, here's another twist. They found out that she was having an affair with her husband's associate.
Oh.
You know how these things go, when it comes to affairs. So here she goes again, having another affair with this, second husband of hers. And it just so happens to be her husband's associate that works with him, for his company or whatever. So, ooh, what a twist. Okay, so on top of that, after the fire, so they ended up doing an autopsy on James Michael. And guess what they found? They found this drug called rocuronium or something like that. So, which is really interesting. So during that whole fire, they said that he never struggled during that fire. He never tried to get out. He was just laying there on the bed. And they found during the autopsy that there was no true smoke inhalation. Like when a person's alive and they're in a fire, they're usually inhaling it, but there was none of that in his system. And they found this rocuronium in there. So, and the only kinds of people that can get this rocuronium is a nurse or a doctor. Whoa. So cue that dun dun dun. Wow, so that's another twist of the story there. So from your perspective right now, does all evidence point towards her? And on top of that, just a few weeks before, they signed, her and her husband signed a life insurance policy on him for $500,000. So what makes things interesting is, I don't know, my point of view is if a person is distraught, they would be like in hideout for a while, or they would just really wouldn't function too well. So they allowed her bail, and they said you can be on house arrest or something like that, where she can only really just stay at home or whatever before the trial. And the first thing she does is she goes to the nail shop and get her nails done. So it was really weird. But then also on top of that, they interviewed James Michael's dad, and he said during the funeral, the day before the funeral, he caught them hugging on each other, and he kissed her on the cheek or whatever. And then when he walked he kind of walked in the room, she kind of shoved him to the side, you know, because they got caught. So the lawyers in her defense saying, yeah, she's a cheat, but you know, but she's not a killer. That's what their defense is. Yeah, she cheats on her boyfriends or her husbands or whatever like that, but you know, but she's not a killer. So here's the interesting part is, okay, so if she went to the house and ate something to light the place on fire, how come it wasn't until like 10:30 before the house ended up being like completely on fire to where people noticed it? So, the defense, so they had to create replicas of the room and see if they can prove to the jury that, you know, it could take up to 2 hours for the whole for the room to end up being engulfed or whatever. You know, back to the rocuronium thing. That thing is supposed to like paralyze you. Like it's supposed to only be used for surgery, so it paralyzes you. And the only way you can really survive from the rocuronium is when you're on some kind of machine respirator, because your body pretty much shuts down. So so there is no way he's going to be moving around. But isn't that crazy? Like, you know, imagining you have this plot and then you put this rocuronium in your husband. He's passed out and he ends up dying from it or whatever like that. He just laid out in the bed. And the night before, I think so they think that that's when it happened, is when, you know, he fell asleep. That's when she put the rocuronium in him, injected it in him. And then he passed away. So during that whole night, she had to either sleep on the couch or sleep in another bedroom while he's over there all passed away or whatever. And then she wakes up and her alibi is, you know, she went to work in the morning, you know. But yeah, that whole story ended up making her look bad, saying she never left the building, finding out she was having an affair, had a life insurance policy just done a few weeks ago. And during an interview of hers, she says she thinks it might be the ex-wife of her husband, you know? Because she is a nurse too. So during the whole investigation, they only really interviewed her and interrogated her, and they said there was no other suspects that they can come up with, so they were just focused on her. So I don't know. I mean, everything points to her, but in the story, yeah, of course, eventually, after going through trial or whatever, she ends up being found guilty, so she had life in prison pretty much. But during her interview, she says she's innocent. What do you guys think? Yeah, so that's my story. James Michael and Michelle Goots. Yeah, overall, from my point of view, is she was just one of those girls that, you know, a bunch of guys gravitated towards, and unfortunately, they locked her down, you know, right after college, and end up getting married too young, having a family too young, which she just wasn't ready. But yeah, there's always those situations where, you know, once you find that somebody that's like either really pretty, great personality, or just whatever, you know, you feel like they have the whole package, you try to lock them down. And unfortunately, during that moment in their life, even though they went through the process of saying yes, and yes, we're gonna have a family together and stuff like that, they end up going through a cycle of like, you know, maybe this is not for me, or maybe I want something different, or whatever, you know. That might explain why she ends up having an affair and, you know, getting married multiple times or whatever. But yeah, tell me what you guys think about that, the psychology part about that. That's just my opinion. I think she should have finished college and just have some fun and just enjoy her life a little bit longer, and then eventually she should have settled down. Well, 40 nuggets is a lot. I don't know how Nicocado avocado can eat this many nuggets. It's amazing. But guys, yeah, I think I'm gonna wrap it up. That's it for today's episode. But thanks so much for watching. Let me know what other stories you want me to cover. But you know, I thought that story was kind of interesting. But yeah, let me know, and I'll catch you guys next time. Thanks.